Well, I feel pretty good about what's been going on here. How about you? This is that's right. Some good oorahs in there, and some hoo-ahs, and some booyahs, and I always like to say that when we're in a joint audience because we have several different ways of expressing ourselves, but it all means the same thing. It's really good stuff. And so I again want to thank all of those who participated in panels. Last panel was certainly a big hit. All of them were in between as well. The types of folks that we had sitting on these panels and the expertise that each panelist brought was vitally important. And so as I kind of reassess our objectives, we talked about trying to use this LANPAC Professional Development Forum and Exposition and Symposium as first a way to discuss what it is that land forces can do and are doing in this critical Indo-Asia-Pacific region. We said we were going to spend some time learning from one another, but from the perspectives of military, industry, academe, others, on ways to think about what it is we're doing right now and to inform one another with better ideas. We said we were going to meet with our allies and our friends and our regional partners, have a dialogue among ourselves and with others, and taking advantage of being here at a place here in Hawaii that makes it possible to have such a discussion. If those were our three objectives, I'm telling you, I'm not used to batting 1,000. I certainly don't play scratch golf and getting in the fairway every time, but I think we did both in this case. We batted 1,000, we had it in the fairway every time, and I think we hit all of our objectives. So I, for one, am very, very satisfied that this was an excellent professional development forum and that we all benefited greatly by what happened here over the last several days. Of course, that would not have been possible if it had not been for the Association of the United States Army and the Institute of Land Warfare, helping to bring this venue together a second year in a row and making it possible for us to do all those things we just talked about and get it done at a very high level. So once again, I'd ask for your appreciation and applause for the Association of the United States Army with another round. Well, just wrapping up a couple of last points, if there were some takeaways, I think you have the opportunity to carry away a clear message that the land forces in the Pacific have a long history here and have made many contributions and are very, very strong expression of U.S. commitment. It makes a difference. It's a presence that makes a difference. The second thing I would say is that we are moving in ways that create a unity of effort across the joint aspects of strategic land power. And it's real progress. We're not just talking about it, we're doing it. And we think it will make a difference for what it is that our nation asks of us every single day and may yet call upon us to do, things we don't know. And we know it'll make a difference for how we interact with our friends in the region. So that unity of effort, that jointness, is part of what activates us every day and is very alive. The next thing I would leave with you as a key point, and I only got two more, so don't worry, I come from a line of preachers, and I know that if you have more than 3 or 4 points, you're first going to put people to sleep, and secondly, you're going to start having things taken out of the collection plate that I'm about to pass, and I don't want either of those to happen. But the next 2 points, relationships matter. And the energy we spend in deepening relationships, making them real, that is work that is well worth our while. Relationships matter, and we're doing a great job through the land forces of the Pacific to deepen those relationships. And the last thing is our comments about the multinational and multilateral framework being really the underpinning of improved security and stability in this region. It's how we work together. No one can do this mission alone. No country is in this business independently. Every country is dependent upon one another. What happens in one impacts every other. And that's whether we respond well to one another, we ignore one another, we fight one another, we support each other economically. What happens to one country impacts every country. So multilateral approaches in military-to-military relationships will underpin and undergird an improved security and stability relationships. So those really just are the 4 points that I think you've heard in abundance over the last several days, articulated far better than I could ever do. My thanks once again to everyone for participating. Thanks especially to our regional partners for coming such great distances to be a part of this. We'll do this again. I'm hopeful that we'll do this again next year and each succeeding year. Tell your friends and tell those who allowed you to come that we are very grateful that you were able to be here with us. It made this symposium even richer. Have a great day, and I'll bring General Sullivan back up. Thank you very much. Sure.
I'm not going to hold you much longer. I want to just say a couple of things, though. I want to thank everybody who took part in this last 3 days and everybody who made it possible here on the islands. In particular, I think General Brooks and his people, and there are countless others, the Military Advisory Committee here from Honolulu and the Chamber of Commerce, the hotel and so forth, and the East-West Center, in many ways with your assistance and the proximity of your students to this gathering and so forth, and I hope they maybe perhaps had some opportunities to participate. I think from certainly my perspective, it's been very successful. 750 people took part in it. That's larger than last year, which is not bad. We're growing. I want to thank, apropos that, our people who displayed. That's a great sign of support. And in some cases, I think it's a recognition that there are things going on in the Pacific which are very important in the commercial sector, and certainly very important militarily and economically, both for the partner countries here, the countries who are in the Pacific, as well as for, in some cases, the U.S. economy. We're lucky that we had joint, combined industry, non-governmental activities represented, not the least of which was USAID and the other, well, USAID is governmental, but buried in there are other non-governmental organizations who participated in the Pacific tragedies, not the least of which was the most recent one in the Philippines, and that's always a challenge for everybody. But remarkably, it seems to work out, and it has. Now, apropos next year, without going into all the details, we're inclined to do it. I certainly am. And we're going to look at next year and what we want to do next year here, because I think it is very important that we gather to demonstrate that there is power here in the Pacific. There's challenges, but there's also a lot of positive things going on. And apropos that, if you are looking at 2025, which the Chief of Staff of the Army is, and I suspect the other chiefs are, these exercises are not throwaway events. We will have to project power, and what you are learning here and what you are doing is very important when it comes to projecting power. We cannot continue to lift the weight that we have become accustomed to, and that's going to take some new technology. I was told by Roger Thompson, I think, that the new ships, the new Panamax ships, which is actually larger than the old Panamax ships, carry 18,000 containers. 18,000 containers. Do you have any idea how much weight 18,000 containers with nothing in them? With nothing in them, what it weighs. Clearly, there must be some technology that would give us the kind of cargo carrying capability without the weight that we have been carrying around since probably World War II. There must be some other alternative. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there wasn't somebody somewhere, either here in Asia, in the Asia-Pacific region, or in U.S. industry, or the UK, or Australia, or New Zealand, or somewhere, somebody has some idea, like some of the ones that we saw here today, in these Tech 10 things. You know, beds that are smart beds, these power generations and so forth. That's what this is all about. It's not about today. It's about continuity with our values and what we represent, change and growth. By the way, smaller is not better, better is better, but you gotta be careful of guys like me who say that, because we could take Baghdad and Mosul with a relatively small force, but when the mission changed, you needed manpower. You needed manpower. People on the ground, men and women, who are willing to suck it up and say, here we are, this is what we represent. And that is combined and joint balanced forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, and our allies. And as I look out into this audience, that's what I see, a small group of people coming together to accomplish the same end. Thanks a lot for all of you for coming. I know it's at great expense, but I believe your country and the world will be better off for what happens in gatherings such as this. Thanks a lot.